So, what are Polaris going to look to pick up after this, right? Because you always feel a little bit hesitant about picking any kind of hyper carry against a Grimstroke, just because he's going to eventually be very effective against you with the Aghanim Scepter. But with the Broodmother being picked, you don't really want to go super late anyway, right? Like you get the Tidebringer, excuse me, up to a really high level. Then, and once you get a couple of items as well, the Broodmother basically feels like a complete non-factor. So I think they could just look to go all in onto this early-ish game style that Lilgun have shown time and time again to be very effective against. And it seems like Polaris have recognized that. Like, who is going to win their lane and actually look to transition that into something a lot more significant? So they're just banning out all of Sanctity's main heroes. The TA, the Ember Spirit is gone. I mean, what even is left? Like the Morphling and the Timbersaw are his other two big ones that he's good at. And Timbersaw against the Conquer, not too bad of a lane if they did opt to go down that route.
Definitely. Yeah, he's got some of those interesting heroes, how they like to flex it. It's almost like what we saw with the old Liquid and with Quafer and Mike, how they can just kind of play the roles differently depending on 4-2-3's hero and whatever Sanctity finds as well. But this is a support that we haven't seen a whole lot in the Rubik. How do you feel overall this hero is in the meta?
I feel like with the Bane, it's going to be really effective, right? Because you've got that extra cast range. You're looking to naturally build into something like the Aether Lens. I'm sure you'll get lucky and get a neutral item as well that provides that extra cast range. And to be able to steal Nightmare is just such a big ability to be able to turn around a team fight. Even super early on, right? Being able to steal the boat away, one of the more incredible spells to have in the early game, just because it scales so amazingly well with a Rubik's Toolkit. And right now, like with the Kunkka, we've seen it played in the position one role. But there's nothing really that's going to like get onto the Rubik and punish him quite heavily, right? Like you know that Lilgun are constantly going to be pushing into the Radiant side of the map against Polaris. So you can pretty easily just look to set yourself up on the back lines and have a somewhat safe game. I wonder if they might look to go into something like a Night Stalker, something that Nico's been shown to play a pretty good effectiveness as well. And it's something that is really hard to deal with for these heroes that don't like going into the more defensive items like a Rubik or a Grimstroke. Okay, Centaur's all right at it. But there's still nothing really that, gets immediately in onto the backlands. And they do go
They
the
haven't done their
Timbersaw.
homework.
Yeah,
They just haven't
two
done
more
their
strength
homework.
heroes. Yeah.
I
Sanctity Timber. I'm telling you, man. But they could still flex this to be a position one Conquer, right? We saw in your dream, just do it. And maybe they were kind of looking to bait that out. I'm sure they'll try and ban out the things like, the Viper and the like just now. And Viper might not even be the worst, right? Because it's good against the Timbersaw. And you could build into something like a Gleipnir as well, which is fantastic against the Broodmother, both for locking him down and just that AoE damage, right? That you need to deal with the Spiderlings.
It doesn't matter if you flex the Conquer though. You're against 3 strength heroes. How are you killing the Timber? Like Conquer eventually is going to have a Silver's Edge, but I don't think they've got the damage regardless afterwards to even get to that stage. Like if Conquer goes to the safe lane, you're happy with putting Brood mid, then Timber can lane into Centaur Snapfire. That's 2 strength heroes, and he's just going to easily win that. Like just a little bit of disrespect almost, like letting this Timbersaw still go through the hero pool. Like, yeah, you're okay with the Broodmother. Like, just wait for them to prove that this is a hero that they can beat us in the first phase. The Timber's a different story.
Yeah. And it's not even like it's 100% going to be a Sanctity Timbersaw, right? Like they can flex it. They've got multiple players on their team that are going to be able to play this one, and they've got the last overall pick of the draft. I really want to see them ban out the Viper. I still feel like it's a pretty damn strong hero, regardless of how these lanes are going to be setting up.
They are banning out some of the carries that lane well into the Timbersaw, however. Luna, Gyrocopter could be another one, but Gyro without a steroid in the eye is a little bit rough. Are there any melee heroes? Monkey's gone, and Ursa's kind of the other one, which will be now taken care of. So they are keeping everything open for this Timbersaw to still be played in the offlane. And yeah, there is that Gyrocopter for Natsumi, but again, there's no real steroid.
I think, have they even committed yet with who's playing what? I feel like this could be a Gyro mid if it's up against a Timbersaw.
5 seconds remaining.
I feel like it's going to completely depend on what Lilgun pick up last. Because like you'd prefer the gyrocopter to be playing into the Timbersaw, and the last pick on Lilgun is going to show you that. It gives you that magic damage that you need to give him a decent amount of harassment in the laning stage, and you still have the flat cannon to deal with the spiderlings as it gets later on. I think the big thing is, in order to deal with this Timbersaw in particular, you need to enable Snapfire as much as possible. Like, she is the one that's going to be dealing a lot of this damage, and they're just going all in on the cheese, man. I was thinking, like, honestly, even with their third pick, I was thinking, are they going to Lycan against this?
Dude.
Because I'm going to go with Lilgun for this. I feel like if they pick this, they have to be feeling confident. You know, they are the kings of cheese in the Southeast Asian region, and you've got that sanctity into the Conquer matchup.
It's an 11 Broodmother as well, so it's not 4-2-3, known as 1-2-3 playing it, but my guy is really comfortable on the Lycan. Now, if he goes for the Helm Dom, they don't have some shenanigan type of a way to eat the creep like a Night Stalker Shard or anything like that. And quite honestly, they don't have heroes to do any damage to an Ancient unless it's a gyrocopter with a lot of farm. Heading into it, Lilgun looked really good in their opening series versus Interactive Philippines, but Polaris as well started the season off really, really strong. They were able to beat Talon and they're able to 2-0 4-9-6, and I was honestly going to say that they probably are a high caliber of player heading into it, but I feel like there is a lot of disrespect letting through their heroes. They've got everything that they are comfortable on, and it looks like it's quite a free game on a lot of them as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Lilgun too.
Yeah, well,
he's level 30. Like he's level 30 Brood. You probably have 2 players that are level 30 Broods.
I wonder what the interview process is like to try and trial out for little guys. Like, all right,
do you play Brood?
Tell me your Dota Plus ranks at the moment. He's like, well, I got a Brood, a Lycan, a me. You're in. You're hired.
So yeah, last time I was just double checking who played the Brood, and it was 4-2-3. They had he went 14-1-12, and that was a first phase Brood too. My God. So, I mean, You've left everything in the pool. They're legitimate bread and butter. And keep in mind, like, if you think of some of the supports too, Ace 12 on the Grimstroke loves the hero, and a Hishki slash how do you pronounce that? Kishka Rubik. Like, these are literally all 5 heroes. They are so comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of Hishki, probably like the only other hero that I would say he's more confident on is like the Nyx Assassin.
Yep. I mean, like, they came into this game and Brood's already dropping voice lines. Let's get the 30 instantly as they join. They are just, they're feeling themselves, and this is what we saw though. Like, we had the opportunity of casting Lilgun in last DPC's Season 1, and we got to watch them grow and promote to the upper division at that time. And we just saw that they were winning games off the back of cheese. That was it. Cheese. Teams were not respecting it. And then they got to the upper division, and teams like, that ain't gonna work with us, my guys. You are not getting away with that. They were just all, pretty much 6-7 of the bands were just on cheese.
Yeah, and well, it's it's looking pretty damn good for them so far. I mean, they've got exactly what they want, but can you imagine if Polaris was able to turn this around, right? Like, if they're able to get a win, and not even just a win, like a stomping win, what that would do to the morale of Lilgun, not only just for this series, but for the rest of this entire season. Is it going to put a lot of questions in their mind as to, can we actually look to go back to a lot of these heroes that we've become so known for?
I mean, I think if they get absolutely stomped, they'll go back for it in game 2. Like, they're just...
Maybe not all 3.
Maybe not all 3, but this is just their, again, bread and butter. This is their staple, what they've really built the identity on as the team.
Especially the Grimstroke Lycan, right? Like, this lane, you just pop the Inkswell onto the Wolves, and you could very easily get onto the back line.
I mean, Centaur's a hero that we haven't really seen for quite some time, so it does feel like he's going to be pretty strong in this lane. He hasn't leveled into anything just yet, Ace 12 is putting a lot more emphasis early on just spamming out the abilities. He's got 2 mangoes, so playing with a lot of resources. So this lane at the moment's going relatively well. And you know, we got the Broodmother down bottom here for Lilgun's 11. How do you feel like this is going to play?
I feel like he's going to be fine. I mean, the first few levels, anytime you're up against a Bane, it's always a little bit worrisome. Speaking of the Bane, he's getting a little bit of focus right now. Doesn't want to dive too deep while they've got that flak cannon running. And, of course, Buster running at 11 there. But even Mavis, with being that very survivable support on the Bane, has to be worried if you ever get that Silken Bowler onto him. Level 2 on the Rubik as well, so Fade Bolt, Telekinesis, you're dead if you get anywhere near.
Eyes on how Lelouch can play this mid lane as well. It is another person in Southeast Asia that is just incredibly comfortable on the Conquer. What level is he up to? Level 26 is the Dota Plus level, and honestly, he's starting really well. 16 last hits, not what I was expecting at all.
Doing a pretty good job. I think the early game, it's never going to be quite as much of a factor, right? Like, you can't consistently chase down the Kunkka quite as much. Around the mid lane, there's not quite as many trees to play with as well, so you can't get the harass with the Timber Chain, but you can just see Lelouch. He's having to do some unorthodox things, like trying to cut this wave a little bit, because it still is quite scary to look to lane into this.
Now with his second point in the Whirling Death Sanctities, really just constricted by his mana pool eventually. So we'll see how the supports can look to enable Lelouch, whether that's the Mavis or Xavius making these rotations. Yeah, I'm just trying to say the names as much as possible to get them in my head as well.
Mm-hmm. I believe the reason behind Xavius was that it's his kid's name.
Yeah,
so
yes, just
nice.
heard that too.
Yeah, always good to have your family included in this as well. Mavis, speaking of new names, has to be a little bit careful here. Not quite as bad just yet, but as soon as you get those spiderlings, very easy way to take off the Nightmare and just consistently run at people. You know, there's nothing really that's going to stop a lot of this aggression coming out
on
onto
top
you.
lane. Ace 12 might be our first blood here as Force claims it. A very strong lane, Centaur, with anyone that has a stun follow-up, and there is a lot of nuke potential as well. Xavius is kind of shied away from the little shredder.
It's exactly what you need to do this game, right? Like, all you need to worry about is not getting your entire game ruined in 20 minutes or so. And if you're able to use the Scatter Blast to help push out waves just that little bit more, you'll take it every single time. Kind of surprised with how little farm 11 has on this bottom side of the map, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, all these lanes are not going as well as I was expecting. Like mid, I think, well, just let Xavius die. What's going on?
Is that an Inkswell? Yeah.
Yeah, legitimately surprised at how these lanes are going at the moment. I mean, Lelouch is at a stage where 3 points Tidebringer, you can easily fall back and farm the jungle, and you can just use like a torrent Tidebringer, clear the creeps, and you're okay. You've got to be a little bit worried with the catapult wave that's about to come out. Maybe that's when Sanctity can kind of put his stamp on this middle lane, but like you said, bottom as well. It's really setting up nicely for Polaris as they're going to find another kill. Rubik actually using the telekinesis to his advantage to get some form of reposition. Still going to cost him his life, but they will at least find some retribution with 11 trading the kill there.
I think you're more than happy with that. I actually think you would prefer all of that solo experience going to the Broodmother. It's so important that he gets these spiderlings out on the map as quickly as possible. Even against the Gyrocopter and the Kunkka, their tower push threat is insane with these 3 cores that they've got right now.
Top lane again, Ace 12. He's getting surrounded by the Snapfire and the Centaur. He's looking to do whatever he can to find some distance from the double stun combination, but Polaris, if they can't find Ace 12, they're happy with getting 4-2-3. They blow up the Lycan. Seeing the damage is still continuing to rise as Force has got 2 points in the double edge.
There's a good way as well to deal with the Timber Saw as well. All of that magical damage going to be doing a lot against Sanctity early on. Of course, you do build into something like a Hood pretty early on, so that's going to, of course, provide him a little bit of that safety. Not a ton of extra magic damage that they've got there, but Lelouch, not wanting to maximize his farm, he just realizes how important it is to stop this siege creep push coming forward. But is Sanctity in a bit of trouble here? Oh, not on point with the communications there.
They do get rid of the catapult timing though. A little bit of damage done on the tower, but nothing too crazy, and you're gonna be happy with that. Now the Lush has got a free couple of minutes here where he should always just be able to come back, clear the wave, then farm up the jungle. Tops of the stage where Force very hard to kill off now as well with the Vanguard. Level 6 too, so if he has to use Stampede defensively, honestly, Polaris have to be so content with how these lanes have been set up.
Still though, we haven't quite reached that level 6 mark on 11. I think he's going to pick it up in one more creep here. The tomato going to be the one that does it for him, even just placing himself on top of him, so that unfortunately for Natsumi, he ended up right-clicking the Broodmother instead of the neutral creep, so a little bit of farm missed out on. But now you are worried, and immediately Bane looks to TP away from mid.
He's actually looking to connect and blow up the Timber Saw. 24 reactive armor stacks. They're laying down the chain lockdown perfectly. Polaris, great recognition. They calculate the damage with all three heroes, and you find that that's plenty to get rid of Sanctity's Timber.
Here we go, Natsumi, bottom side, getting focused down a little bit here.
Stampede's actually going to go TP out.
Very nice play. Even looking to farm up all of those spiders as well. It might mean that the bottom tower's under a little bit of a risk of falling down here, but I wonder if Lelouch actually starts to make his way towards
Centaur. Yeah, he's going to. I like that. And this is the power that Radiant do have, though. You've got Conquer, Centaur to play into the Broodmother, and Gyro will be able to as well once he gets a little bit more items.
There we go. First shapeshift of the game used as well. They're looking to try and get onto the snipe. Xavius is a dead man walking right now, unless.
1, 2, sorry, 4, 2, 3. This is what they need, though. Converting kills into early objectives. Got a lineup that's definitely not going to scale as well as Polaris heading into the later stages. So, shapeshift is a pretty goddamn long cooldown as well.
They have Delta Tana damage to this tower, though. Oh, actually, some of these TPs starting to come in here, even just using it on the Helmdom creep, and they're still able to get the tower, not even getting the deny through. Bot lane as well. I mean, a lot of those TPs were used up towards the top side of the map. You can see Force here is farming, but I really feel like he just doesn't want to be anywhere close to a lot of these spiderlings, right? They've got a mind of their own. You can just very easily move them away. You don't want to hit the Centaur, so maybe with a double edge, it'll be a good way to deal with them, but still lacking a little bit of the damage right now. It doesn't quite have the extra strength needed to completely wipe them out. Tidebringer is, though.
By the Ancients, Natsumi. It's protective short duration, especially with the help of the Stampede as well, so they're making sure they have no risk of being caught out here as Lilgun looking to do their best to take away the Ancient stack. Something that Gyrocopter really thrives on, just being able to accumulate so much gold around the vicinity.
And that's the benefit of having this Observer Ward placed nice and early there. I need to scout out. It's not important to know what's happening around the hard camp, right? It's just this little nook still gets the key value in understanding what's happening with those ancient creeps and a Gyrocopter. So despite the fact that, you know, the tower situation in the laning stage probably isn't going quite as well as the gun would have liked, they've still got a slight net worth advantage, and they're in a position to look to extend that in the near future. Shapeshift coming up again in a few seconds. Timbersaw just continuing to push in this lane. We've got the next siege creep as well, and Broodmother just parking herself down here. You feel like you need the Conquer to take any kind of team fight, right? So you're going to have to make a trade at some point.
This combination, you brought up the fact that it's something like a staple combo for Lilgun. Just the Lycan and the Grimstroke. We see that there are some issues with how you can start fights, but using this Ink Swell on top of the Wolf is a decent way if there's someone on the outskirts and just almost like a straggler in a support.
Especially once they're invisible, right? And that happened at level 3. Right now the Wolves are level 4, so they've also got that that cripple effect, so you can't continue to chase away, or rather run away. So they take away the mid tower, using the siege creep to its fullest potential. Cutting waves here is 11 on the bottom side of the map, and it just allows the rest of the team to look to rotate through. They're very methodical about the key elements that they want to take away from Polaris, right? They don't want you to be able to farm in your own jungle gyro that takes a lot of stacks. You don't want to farm in your own triangle. It's just about removing those sorts of things from the overall equation here. So I feel like they can maybe look to split up a tiny bit more once they take this last remaining tier 1 tower, but once they reach their next key set of items, which would be the Orchid for the Broodmother, the Helm of the Overlord for the Lycan, and looks like Sanctity's looking to go into a Bloodstone. Probably will be a little bit slower to pick that one up, so something like a Kaya probably will be around that same sort of timing. It'll be a good time just to consistently group up together and push on forward, because either you win the game at that point or you've unfortunately missed your timing.
Oh, bottom. They're onto Force. He's a pretty beefy Centaur, but it looks like with 3 heroes surrounding the position 3, we're able to go through him with all this health pool that he's got at the moment. So maybe they can transition this into the tower, because the Glyph was used previously. And this is going to be such an early tier 2 tower, and Radiant, they're too late to try and construct a defense.
Now, I know you've got a bit of a thing for vision. You love it. And
Yes.
that's just something that the Wolves are able to provide as well, right? Not even just using them for farming. Even though you've got this position 1 Lycan, all he wants right now is to know what the Radiant side are doing. Unfortunately for Polaris, that sentry that's going to be able to spot out this wolf inside the triangle doesn't quite clip the observer ward. So you know exactly where Lelouch is. You know that you're free to continuously play around this bottom side of the map. So 13 minutes, you've taken away the outpost. This is exactly what Lilgun were wanting in terms of their game plan.
They haven't slowed down Natsumi's farm, however. He's got 1 component completed.
Here we go. In again.
See, playing around. Fiend's Group from Mavis. The answer's not there at the moment to cancel this. This long duration control to set up for the boat slamming down on Sanctity. Ace 12 looks like he just had the Phantom's Embrace back up. This needs to be communicated now if someone on Lilgun has to hold a stun to cancel the Fiend's Grip. Or it's the Lycan shot to run him down.
Yep, Lycan needs to run him down, or instead of the Hellbear Smasher, obviously it's great to have the attack speed, right? But you might just need to say, look, we need to have a Centaur Conqueror just for that extra stun, because, to be honest, they're really lacking right now.
This should not be a game where Bane is ever going to get a long duration Fiend's Grip off. Not against the heroes that Lilgun have.
Ooh, this would be kind of cool as well.
So I think he's going to reveal the blink. Xavius and Mavis nearby. 4-2-3. It's going to end up falling here, and Ace 12 is trying to find some retribution. Nice use of the Nightmare Trick. Mavis still is going to end up dropping Nightmare. Oh, he's out. Great use of the smoke.
So he's not even going for the full... Oh, they've actually found... It's his own X-Marks.
We're on the loose, but Force. What a beautiful blink once again. Now there's no damage follow-up as they push back the Congo. Evaporates to the Whirling Death, and now Force as well is going to be cautious. Another strength hero that can't go toe-to-toe versus Sanctity.
I feel like X-Marks is probably like the premium spell that you really want on Lilgun's side, right? You just want to be able to individually down one target at a time, just completely burst them through without giving Polaris any opportunity. Use it again.
Another use of the X. Orchid reveal as well. Natsumi's going to look to get involved. Maybe hoping he can get an extra little bounty. In fact, all the Spiderlings taken care of. It's going to get him closer and closer to the Aghanims. In fact, he already has it completed.
Just needs to disassemble the Dragonlance now.
Nope.
Actually, no, he didn't even. He just bought it
He's
outright.
that farmed. He's actually that farmed. Holy.
Yeah, you could still do it for the BKB, I suppose. Going to be quite important. I mean, you are going up against an Orchid here on the
Ace 12. He's going to scout out this movement from Polaris. Shapeshift used as well. They're looking to get them inside the midst as the Soulbind leashing them together. But Lilgun not going to use this replacement advantage, so they're actually out. So a big ultimate wasted, and now this is now a huge timing for Polaris to get something out of it.
It is. Lilgun aren't going to waste it either, though. They're just going to consistently try and farm up as quickly as possible. So close to picking up that Helm of the Overlord as well. So it's just the Ancient Thunderhide that's been left alive inside the Dire Triangle. Probably exactly what you want, right? Just for that extra bonus attack speed that it's able to provide.
Oh, they got double bounty still waiting as well. Just shows how much Lilgun have been playing on the opposite side of the map. They have been doing a really good job at like posturing aggressively by the triangle, but that's also now props given to Natsumi with how he's still top of the net worth. He's getting so much farm, and it's going to be a real big factor heading into the later stages.
I feel like you are always going to get a decent amount of farm, but the fact that he's done it without dying as well, just the number of cute little plays that he's had using the homing missile to be able to enable those TPs away.
No messing around. He's content with just dropping the boat to try and deal with the Grimstroke. Now they'll also utilize the Stampede, just a quick in and out drive-by there, dealing with Ace 12, and really just that's all they get.
I mean, oh, this would be a very cool play by Xavier if he's able to get away. The X marks will prevent it though, but he's just trying to cut the waves as much as possible, right? Put as much pressure onto the top side. I honestly don't think you care if this creep wave is hitting in onto your tower on Lilgun, especially now that you just saw the boat used, you just saw the Stampede as well. So what really is stopping you from just continuing to push on forward as an entire team right now? You've got your Helm of the Overlord, you've been able to take over that Ancient Black Dragon as well. So yeah, just play around the entire team. Okay, going a little bit of a different item build, I think, on Sanctity's Timbersaw. So originally he was going into the Bloodstone, it seems, as his first item, but he switched that up into the Sanjin Kai. Just wanted to give him...
He's going to be forced to use an early BKB. Lelouch continues to stand his ground. Sanctity's not an easy objective to bring through, but once again, Mavis with the Fiend's group, they're too late to cancel. The control is long enough. That's a big kill, but the rest of Polaris still scurrying to reposition to the safety of the tier 2 tower, but now that they've gotten out, they can look to pounce once again as Force is in, straight on top of 11's Broodmother. A 2-for-1 trade, but again, Polaris are continuing to delay the game.
They're doing a great job at it, that's for sure. Again, another full Fiend's grip. I like the fact that he's just gone the Naked Shadow Amulet. This isn't a pub, you don't need to go and report CML right now for having purchased this one up. It's the fact that you're constantly just able to reposition yourself with 0 cooldown on it. You're not worried about the magic damage you're taking. Everything that's happening to you is physical if they get on top of you. So you just want to constantly be moving around, using the Shadow Amulet on yourself, and making sure that you've got that extra layer of safety for the full Fiend's Grip channel as well.
Are you a bit worried if you're Lilgun at the moment with the status quo of this game? I mean, you're down 2,000 gold and doesn't feel like you've gotten enough out of the map.
I feel like their next thing is if they're able to... Well, they're going to go for a kill onto Xavius on this top side, but again, really good play. Just looking to take a lot of the attention away from their side of the map. We mentioned before how many bounties were available inside the Dire Triangle, but if you're constantly forcing people to come up towards this top side of the map, you're damn happy. And I feel like this Sanjin Kaya that's now finished on the Timbersaw is, I don't want to sound dramatic, but like the last hope that they've got to really cement themselves.
It's not an easy kill once again. Either sides have got these really tanky heroes.
They found
the Spiderlings. Now they caught Sanctity here in the river.
He just finished the Sanjin Kaya at like 10% HP remaining as well. So everyone else, the Ghost Ship, the Stampede, the Call Down as well.
And now they've got the DD at the mouth of the pit. You love to see it. Gaben smiling down on Polaris.
They know.
Falling ever so low. Dire smoked his fall. They got the Wolves to scout. 11, who can he target? A nice stolen Torrent, but once again, the Fiend's grip, no one's canceling this. So 11, 0 impact throughout the team fight, but Gyro's going to continue to stand his ground with the help of the double damage rune and the flak. It's doing a decent amount of damage. Still, Rose is healthy enough. Everyone's just avoiding the Aegis objective. They want hero kills. As 11 will move all forward over the higher ground. He doesn't get the kill, unfortunately. The snap, nice heads up TP out, but Dire, now looks like they have control of the mouth of the pit.
Thank you very much. And Sanctity, he's tired of being immediately burst down before a lot of these key team fights. He wants to have that secondary survivability mechanic and ends up picking up the Aegis for himself. It's a big window now for Lilgun to be able to continuously push on forward. They had to drop so much previously to kill that Timbersaw. Now that he's getting more and more farmed, that they unfortunately just didn't have the tools to fight effectively in that Rosh attempt.
It definitely feels like this is the window for Lilgun. You have to get so much out of this Aegis.
So I think they can wait like 2 minutes. You've got the AC nearly completed on the Broodmother, and on the Lycan, and you've got the BKB nearly completed on the Broodmother. That is it. You can't afford to wait any longer than that, because you're not going to get a period where your strength is at a premium compared to Polaris. Even just the Blink Dagger completed on the Rubik means that you can get one of those nice steals, you know, even just the levels, right? The extra points in the Arcane Supremacy means that you might be able to get that telekinesis off with the Blink Dagger to stop a Fiend's Grip from happening.
They're going to look to give up top. Polaris.
He's going into the Aghanim Scepter on Mavis. Not sure how great I feel about that. I mean, I would honestly nearly like him going into the Aghanim Shard, just to be able to deal with all of these Brood Spiderlings. It's pure damage, doesn't care about any of the magic resistance.
The Scepter definitely helps with that as well, but I think the Shard's a lot cheaper of an option.
Yeah.
It's really only Force at the moment that offers a way to start these fights. Conquer. There's no way they can burst him through the Orchid duration. Lelouch, a late use of the BKB. Now they've leashed together as well, so Force... he had to go in to keep Lelouch alive, and now down for 40 seconds. You were saying Lilgun, they might wait a little bit. Got a window now. Still waiting the AC.
Yep, BKB complete, AC almost, but 4-3 so close to being able to pick that one up for himself. And how long's the Aegis still got in it? Yeah, just under 3 minutes, plenty of time.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Reading the smoked out the base though is 4. Mavis on the Vanguard, Natsumi hand in hand. Trying to find him.
Play around their vision for now. They've been a little bit safe, and there we go. AC completed. Coming out here, even just the extra
on the front line. Once again, Fiend's Grip. Where's the answer? Rubik from afar. He steals the Fiend's Grip. So they've been able to kill off the first life. Force is going to jump the support as well. Bye-bye, Rubik. But keep in mind, there's no way to be able to blow up the cores now with how much you've committed. As Sanctity is going to jump forward as well, preventing Lelouch from right-click anyone. Natsumi's continuing to stand his ground. A BKB forced, but still a free fight for Sanctity. He's able to go forward and forward. Force actually jumping in the middle. Centaur, he's got no follow-up. The BKB is the ulti on cooldown. There's no way to assist the Centaur War Runner. As Force almost just gives up his life. Lelouch, he's at least been able to refresh the resources. Just that Tidebringer. Not enough to kill off Ace 12, but luckily enough, the BKB back up in the arsenal.
Still though, they do take away the Aegis. You haven't lost a tier 3 tower just yet. And Kunkka and Gyrocopter continue to farm.
Your admiral is on board.
It was looking like a good start to the fight though for Lilgun. So much committed just to blow up the Aegis on Sanctity, and honestly, I think you didn't get the Rubik kill, then that could have been really difficult for Polaris to take, because he stole Fiend's Grip.
Yeah. They were fighting underneath their own vision as well, so an advantageous fight. Doesn't turn out that way for Lilgun. I mean, you get a couple of extra BKB charges used, but I feel like you just need to evade the initial burst coming through, because right now they've got nothing really that goes through that BKB, at least in terms of lockdown.
Kishka? Playing around with the Nightmare that's been stolen. Trying to force out some abilities, awesome BKBs, and they'll just force the life. Force evaporates once again.
Oh, a boat. Boat stolen is pretty damn significant. You're already tanky as hell, but how are you going to be able to prevent the Coco Rum from providing that little bit of extra survivability, especially someone like the Broodmother and the Lycan that relies so heavily on the lifesteal components coming through with the Insatiable Hunger. You've got the Vlad's Aura as well, and just the Timbersaw as well with that reactive armor.
It's a beautiful thing about having a Lycan. They need these creeps. Golem can sit in the front line. They've got a catapult wave too, so this is the window for them to start the siege. But going to the Conquer's not the easiest avenue. You can just cleave off the creeps.
Just hit the
Now,
tower.
Sanctity is pretty far in the backline. It can enable Mavis for the Fiend's Grip once again. Ruby's gonna look to drop the boat just to deal with it. It collapses onto 3, but the damage buff mitigation is actually not enough to keep Sanctity alive.
is under attack.
Kishki also, I mean, he compromised his position just to do whatever he could, and well, that would be his demise as Lilgun overstepping their boundaries.
I think that was the Rubik boat, actually, just trying to provide that little bit of an extra stun to take out the Bane, stop the Fiend's Grip from happening, and maybe give the rum over to the Timbersaw, but he was a little low on mana to actually use the Bloodstone, so didn't get full value out of it either. He disassembled the Sanjin Kaya, which, I mean, maybe he lives if he still had it assembled, but yeah, certainly didn't get the value out of that Bloodstone that he would have been wanting.
Dire's structures are fortified.
You have to say, like, have they missed their window? It's reaching that point where you have to think that it's becoming more and more of a reality. Dota Plus thinks it's a 75% win probability for Polaris right now.
Yeah,
you would have to say their last-ditch effort would be being able to take next Roche and trying to end the game with that.
Yep. Next, they do push incredibly fast though. Like one team fight won somehow, they're gonna rip apart buildings, and this is without Flamethrower and Sanctity, which is definitely on the cards as the game goes later and later. But I'm still amazed at how many Fiend's Grips have been going off for such a long duration. Now Dire smoked up, traversing the way to the triangle. Natsumi's not an easy person to bring down, especially with the positioning of Mavis. The Nightmare's going to give the Gyrocopter an opportunity to pop the BKB, but Sanctity's still looking to deal with the backline. They've taken rid of Xavius. The Stampede allowing them to reposition as well, but now Natsumi's going to be cautious as 11 doing whatever he can to get on top of the Gyrocopter, but they aren't able to deal with Natsumi. His damage preventing them from overwhelming, and now with the rest of Lilgun have to think twice. They're re-evaluating the angle into the fight. Sanctity swing on over to the east. It'll be okay. But 2 for 1 in the end. Oh, it might actually... So cool.
He wanted those creeps to hit him just for that little bit of extra reactive armor onto himself.
We were speaking earlier that, like, you've got Force and Lelouch who can play in the front line versus, you know, the Broodmother early, and Gyro was going to need items. Well, I tell you what, Natsumi's found those items. You are not running at this man and killing him.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the situation is, Lilgun, if you let him get Satanic, you've lost the game.
Yep. In agreement as well. Another Fiend?
I
Alright, well, bye-bye Sanctity. Yeah, down bottom, Silver's Edge break is enough, and Ace 12 a little bit too late.
Oh, I wasn't hearing that. I was hearing the gobble up that Xavius has been able to get on his Snapfire. It's a little bit of extra save, perhaps. We saw Hyde attempt a nice one in the previous series, but if you're able to focus in on someone that's maybe getting a lot of attention from these 3 cores.
Maybe Kishka seals Gobble up though. The Force? Not gonna be able to get the initial start. They've blown up Mavis, which has been a big thorn in their side. They're doing a good job at hiding away from the Gyrocopter at the moment. And if they can just get this one pick off, Timber's up in about 15 seconds, so it'll be a little bit too difficult to connect with the rest of the team, but that's kind of the play. If you can, you know, take a fight on an area of the map where you can really play as far away and, you know, just peel away from the Gyrocopter, then that's how they can take these fights. As well, Radiant is going to try and find the Grimstroke. Rubik a little bit too late with the Aghanim shot, defensive factor. Now Force as well is still in trouble, however. Stampede on cooldown is going to be his demise, and now Snapfire as well. With free Pickens. There's no way he gets it. Xavier's... Oh. Kishka is playing with fire. So we're Lilgun as well.
Kisses. That's a lot of, you know, burst damage that you might need. I mean, it's rough, right? Because it's an amazing spell to be able to, especially with the extra cast range and spell amp that it has on top of everything. But it does still feel like Kishka, he's one of the only ways that you've got to lock down this Bane if he does get the Fiend's Grip in onto you, right? So to have him there channeling Mortimer's Kisses, unless it's on top of the Bane itself, it's probably not going to be worth it.
I think it's just 423's job, though, to run at the Bane. Run at the Bane, run at the Snap. Whoever you see first, I think more importantly, it has to be the Bane. But that is a lucky timing, though. We said that Lilgun have to hit this second Roshan in stride. Otherwise, if it goes later than that, you're probably giving the edge to Polaris. And Oh, the beautiful timing after that team fight. That little skirmish. Roche is up, and once again, Sanctity finding it. I believe they also give him the Ag Shard.
He did, yes. So he's going to have that flamethrower just to deal with the front lines. He's also finished up his Heaven's Halberd as well. So very hard to get through, especially now that he's level 20 as well. I'm a little surprised he didn't go into the 16 strength instead of the 4% chakram slow, to be honest. I feel like if Sanctity doesn't die, you can't get through to the backlines of the team fight and really deal with the supports, because it feels like Ace and Kishka are doing so much in a lot of these engagements.
Step
Set
lively
themselves
now.
up,
Your
plant their
admiral is
flag
on
here
board.
in the Radiant Triangle. Big items coming through. At least we got the AC on the Conquer, level 24 as well on Lelouch here. And, well, I said if you let Gyrocopter get the Satanic, you've probably lost. He's pretty damn close. And, I mean, you would need to literally 100-0 burst him with, like, a Stolen Fiend's Grip or something like that. Well, doesn't have it right now on Kishka. Still has that BKB, of course. And, well, of course, you're going to have the secondary Dispel as well, just for the Orchid with the Satanic.
Step lively now. Your admiral is...
Yeah. Smoked
They
up.
know. Oh man, they saw. So he timber chained, and it was underneath this vision, and someone just happened to be looking at the time.
They will lose their Observer Ward, but yeah, smoke for nothing. And there's the Satanic completed. So this is kind of the trigger timing that they had to hit for Polaris. And Natsumi is going to be so goddamn difficult to kill. This is without... Oh my god.
Jesus. Poor Kishka.
I tell you what, his butthole just clenched. That is... My lord. Just wait till Lelouch is later in this game as well. Poor supports. It's a rough life.
Going for a bit of a wraparound play here. I like this on 11 as well. He's got the Aeon Disc completed, but doesn't actually have it assembled just yet. They're looking to try and protect this creep wave as much as possible, thinking that the Conquer's going to come out and try another cheeky play, but they're actually going the full wraparound onto the back lines.
It's
going to get revealed first.
Look at the front line. Kishka, really important. What a reaction. Blink to safety. They're going to chuck Natsumi in once again as well, but the instant assassination. They've taken care of Ace 12. They're not going to have the Bane. He's been so important with the Fiend's Grip, but there's the Rubik's Cube getting laid down from afar, but the damage is lacking at the moment. Natsumi's able to stand his ground. They've successfully killed off the Aegis, and Gyro's still got BKB in the arsenal too. He's waiting as long as possible. And if he wastes the BKB, then there is a bit of a window from being bursted by Sanctity.
That's the kind of play that I love, though. Do the unexpected. This is not the Polaris that we would have seen in previous times. You know, when they were playing on their old Adroit and Omega roster, it was a sort of situation where, you know, they would just kind of keep running face first into things, not really think things through too much. But whoever made that call to go for the full wraparound, kudos to you, because that's the sort of thing that you're not really expecting with a Kunkka who's been consistently using their X marks to push out the base.
Now we're going to see a smoke on smoke. They've lost the Aegis advantage. They're posturing on the high ground.
As well.
Shapeshifts on cooldown for another 20 seconds, so 4-2-3. He's not going to have a whole lot of value in the team fight. His Force finds the initiation. A stun starting onto 2. They're going to look to turn it back around as Natsumi using an early BKB. They need a way to be able to cancel the Fiend's Grip though. 11 completely controlled it to the last second, but the Tidebringer. Lelouch ripping apart the heroes on Lilgun. They'll bring back Sanctity as well. 4 down, all Polaris in the team fight, and they have lost their edge in this draft.
So much more.
I feel like that team fight could have maybe even been a little bit different, but it's just, again, that BKB timing. It was a few seconds away on to 1-2-3, so wasn't able to get it off in time, was forced to just consistently run away. And with this as well, you've even picked up the level 25 on the Gyrocopter, so even more frequent that you're going to be able to deal with a lot of these. And yeah, it feels like they missed their timing. Their timing was like 28 minutes or so is when they needed to look to end this game, and it's just gone way too far beyond that.
Radiant structures are fortified.
9,000 net worth lead, high ground under siege.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Good luck defending. You got a Natsumi 25, Lelouch 26. Full set of barracks, and the only deterrent from going for any more is these outer objectives. So Polaris They're happy with that team fight victory and also the objective damage.
Looking pretty impressive. This is not what I was expecting to see. You know, Lilgun have shown time and time again that they've been able to
Dire's top tower is
punish
under
people
attack.
that don't show them the respect that they deserve with this full-on cheese push strat. But Polaris, it just seems like their positioning has been on point every
Dire's
single
top
time.
tower
Just
has
understanding that it's important to just delay the game longer and longer and longer, and now they've reached that critical. Natsumi feels almost unkillable at this point.
Dire's top tower.
Yeah, even
is under
Lelouch as
attack.
well, 4,300 health. It's
Not
all
so
on
safe
BKBs.
harbor, eh?
Oh, wait, what just happened? Did he pop BKB?
Nah, you got X mark back.
I thought that was Rubik's X. Oh, he used it.
Nope.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, what's going on here?
See you later, Aeon Disc as well. They were thinking of trying to make a little bit of a play happen because Natsumi showed for the briefest moment in that mid lane, but you've got people down here farming. I'm not sure what Sanctity is looking to get. Shiva's Guard, I guess, but he's playing with 5
Dire's top
items right
barracks
now.
are under attack.
They've got really good information thanks to the Lycan Wolf. They are well aware of everyone position on
Dire's
Polaris.
top barracks has fallen.
Lelouch doesn't seem to care.
Smoke instantly popping. Is going to move on 4
Double
once again.
stun.
Sets up for another double stun on 4s. They've taken away the Broodmother. No buyback available. They're going to jump in
gobble.
as well thanks to the gobble up as Natsumi. Oh, he doesn't care about his positioning at all. Top of the net worth. That's all she wrote as Polaris.
Dire's top
I mean, you were speaking early on. If Lilgun lose this match with all of their comfort heroes, the confidence loss is going to be ridiculous. And my lord, Polaris, exceptional victory.
For sure. I mean, they just did everything that they could have possibly needed to, right? They waited, they stalled, they picked the right heroes, and that's the downside of going this like first pick Broodmother, right? You know exactly what you need to try and deal with it. Whereas if you pick, I guess it was probably a little bit early for the Lycan, right? They could have just Broodmothered them or Bloodseekered them or something like that. But you know, a little bit of overconfidence perhaps coming through from Lilgun and from you and I as well. We were both feeling very good about Lilgun's chances in this game, but they were able to, Polaris, were able to maneuver themselves, honestly play a pretty damn flawless game, I thought.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we both saw how strong this draft could be for Lilgun, and I just didn't really think the lanes would go this well. I mean, Lelouch got so much out of that matchup versus Timber, and he played it really, really well as well, where he was able to just shove at the lane, go back, farm up the jungle. Natsumi got a ridiculous amount out of the lane as well, and it was just everyone. I really didn't expect the lanes to go how well that they did. And also a couple of those fights, I mean, Mavis with the Fiend's Crew was just, there was no answer. There was, no one keeping a stun or focusing down the Bane, and it just got to the stage. This is a timing lineup. This is a lineup that there's not a lot of mistakes here that can be given. And if you go to the later stages, then it's going to be no respect from the enemy team. As we see, Polaris, they just look so comfortable. And again, the confidence just has to be absolutely taken completely out here for Lilgun losing that one.
At an all-time high, that's for sure. For Polaris, they're feeling super confident, even though Lilgun might be a little bit down in the dumps. But you never know. They could very well just shrug this, say, look, we tried to catch them out with the first game of the day. Let's just go to, a few more of our more conventional strats. And, you still have the threat of some of these cheese picks coming out there just on their own. But I feel like if you go all in on something, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that was the case for game number 1. But game 2 coming up shortly. We'll see if Lilgun are able to turn it around.
We'll see if they go back for the cheese, if Polaris are going to leave it in the pool, or how the draft will be set up. See you guys shortly. Game 2 with Polaris Esports against Lilgun around the corner.